Parish Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Would you all please stand while I ask Coach Williams to give the invocation and pledge of allegiance? Before we ask Coach to do so, we're going to have a moment of silence in memory of our beloved fellow board member, David Connor, who we lost earlier this month. Mr. LaSalle.
Our gracious Father, again we come giving thanks that you allowed us to see another blessed day. Thank you for life, for health, and for strength. We thank you for your suffering, your shedding blood for the remission of our sins. We ask you to give us our sins and our transgressions and make us fit to serve. And again, we pray for the dear Connors family, his wife, and his children, that their physical, financial, and spiritual needs will be met at their loss. And we pray for this board and we pray for this staff that you allowed us to see another new year and take care of the business of this community in this parish. We pray for those who have come and seeking our help. We pray to let the Holy Spirit guide us and lead us that we might do that which is pleasing in our sight. This all is my prayer this day in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Christian, would you please call the roll?
Chair Elijah Gilreath.
Here.
Vice Chair Jake Porche.
Here.
Mr. LaSalle Williams.
Here.
Ms. Sharon Galicia.
Here.
Mr. Art Little.
Here.
Mr. Kirk Smith.
Here.
Mr. Gary Navarre.
Here.
Ms. Betty Brown. Ms. Latricia Cobb.
Here.
And Ms. Julia Dickerson is absent.
This is an 11-member board. It'll take the majority of those members present to grant or deny any request heard tonight. The chair will refrain from voting unless there is a tie. The meeting will be conducted with me reading the requests from the agenda. The planning staff will then give a presentation and report their recommendations. If the applicant would like to add to the staff's presentation, or if someone from the audience has comments, please come to the microphone, state your name, your address, and nature of your request. All persons wishing to speak other than the applicants need to fill out a blue request to appear form located in the back of this room. The form must be given to the staff member prior to the reading of the agenda item. As required by this board's bylaws, in all cases, the proponents will be limited to 10 minutes. Opponents will be granted 10 minutes as well, with each speaker allowing no more than 3 minutes. I recommend that a spokesperson be selected if there is a large group wanting to speak on the same agenda item. If 4 or more speaker request forms are submitted, the time allowed for individual speakers will be limited based upon the number of forms submitted. The chair has the right to limit speakers who present redundant information or personal attacks. In unique situations, the chair may extend or the board may vote to extend the time allotted for speakers. After the discussion, the board will vote on each request. I will announce the decision of the board after the vote. Preliminary subdivision approval and zoning exceptions and variances are final tonight. In rezoning cases and industrial expansions will go before the police jury for final action on February the 18th, 2016. Item number 5, take appropriate action to approve the minutes of the January 19, 2016 Planning and Zoning meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Need a second. Mr. Navarre seconded. Mr. Porche made a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Item number 6, take appropriate action on a request by 9 Oak Subdivision to grant preliminary subdivision approval to allow a single-family residential subdivision at 851 East Tank Farm Road in Ward 3. I will entertain a motion for preliminary subdivision approval with stipulations.
So moved.
Mr. Art Little, seconded. Ms. Wallace.
This property is located south of Lake Charles and encompasses nearly 15 acres of agricultural zone land. The developer, 9 Oaks LLC, would like to subdivide the land into 21 lots for single-family residential development. The developer is also requesting that the land be rezoned to R1 single-family residential to allow smaller lot sizes. The revised plat shows the smallest lot to be just under 12,000 square feet and the largest at nearly half an acre. Because the development meets the requirements for R1 zoning, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following stipulations: that the development is subject to an application for and/or compliance with an LPDES stormwater discharge permit, which may be required through the Department of Environmental Quality and the Calcasieu Parish Division of Planning and Development, that a drainage impact analysis and a traffic impact analysis may be required in accordance with the parish codes, and that the preliminary plat must be approved by the Division of Engineering prior to submittal of engineering plans.
All right, thank you. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's presentation?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Tom Gale. Physical address is 713 Kirby Street. I'm here this afternoon on behalf of the applicant's 9 Oak subdivision. The developers are a local family. It's the Sarver family. They have been in the construction and real estate business here for a number of years. They've got a good reputation of building a good quality product. I think this is just going to be another one of the projects that's going to enhance this area. It's consistent with the use throughout the area. And what the subdivision plat will show that there's going to be one larger residential lot reserved up front on Tank Farm Road. So actually from the road, aesthetically, it's going to look entirely consistent with the remainder of it. And then the lots, as you go farther to the south, will be a little bit smaller. It will be a restricted subdivision. We've already transferred the title and the ownership of the property from the original purchaser back into the development company, and they're ready to move forward. And the Sarvers and the engineers are here tonight. If there's any questions y'all have on the specific plans or the specific product that's being built in there. Otherwise, we would ask for your approval.
Any question by the board? No cards, opposition? No, sir. Okay. Entertain, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, all approved. All righty. Item number 7. Take appropriate action on case RZ 03-05015, a request by J&T Calcasieu Developments, LLC, to rezone from A1 to R1 to allow a single-family residential development, 9 Oak subdivision at 851 East Tank Farm Road in Ward 3. I will entertain a motion to approve with stipulation.
So moved.
Ms. Navarre, a second.
Coach Williams.
Coach Williams, seconded. Ms. Wallace.
Because the development meets all parish requirements, the staff recommends that the request be granted.
Okay. Nothing more to add on this one? Okay. Any questions by the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. It passes. Item number 8. Take appropriate action on case VA 08-00316, a request by Donald R. Fontenot for a variance to allow 2 dwellings with less than required public road frontage, required 200 feet, requesting 60 feet, at 2632, how you pronounce that? Tuileries Drive in Ward 8. I'll entertain a motion to approve with stipulations.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Cobb moved, seconded by Mr. Porsche. Ms. Wallace.
This property is located in the LeBlue settlement area and encompasses 2.5 acres of agricultural zone land. The petitioners have one manufactured home on this property and would like to add a second. Both units are for rental purposes. Since the land has less than the required road frontage, a variance is required to permit the second home. Because there is no evidence of hardship, the staff recommends that the request be denied. Should the request be granted, the staff recommends the following stipulations: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the division, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to site plans in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, and that the manufactured home be skirted prior to utilities being connected.
Okay. Does the applicant have anything to add? Applicant here? The applicant, you want to add something? Come on up. Please state your name and your address.
Donald Fontenot with address 6043, which probably should be given the description to the land. 20.
Your personal address, that's fine.
Okay. I've been having rent on that property for, I guess, right at 20 years, and then when the after 12 years, just one mobile home moved out, and then that's when I got opposed with this. First, they told me to get me, the sure, inspect it and stuff. I done that. I told them to have dirt hauled in. They require on the mobile homes when they come in, they want to raise it. I guess it's a new law or the rule to do. Done that, then I was told to come here after I got a mobile home sitting on it. I mean, I don't understand what changed. But y'all said in 07, 08, something changed, but I never got notified or a letter saying if, something moved out, I couldn't move another in.
So you're saying you had two at one time?
For the last 20 years, yes, sir.
And you moved it out, now you only have one, and you want to put another one back.
Back in its place, yes.
Staff, you want to answer that question?
I know that he had one on the property, but I'm not sure what the time frames are or anything like that, or how permitting was done. All I could find was a permit for one unit. So I'm not sure.
Jake?
How long was the trailer that you just moved, or that you recently moved? When did that originally? When did you originally place that on the lot?
12 years ago,
12 years.
yes, sir.
Okay. And do you remember it? I mean, did you get that permitted 12 years ago?
I don't remember if back then if we did or not, or what we did. So it should be, she's saying yes to what, so we should have something, or it should be on record.
And the one
One
that was
before that
existing
was-
there was also permitted,
Yes, sir.
and you guys don't have record of it?
All I could find today was a permit from 2003.
For one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which would have been the second one,
Yeah, I guess the
according
one,
to your timeline, right?
yeah, I guess that'd be the one that just moved out, I think.
Any other questions?
In other words, what he's saying, the second one, he put it on there was not permitted.
No, the second one was permitted.
is.
The first
You got
one,
it.
First one was.
the first one might have been
Way before, it was
way
20 years
before,
ago.
yeah.
Yes.
Probably before the zoning ever come in, maybe.
You can come up, please come up to the podium with your husband.
Now, while she's approaching the podium, when the gentleman did purchase the property in, let me see what year, 1992, it was a large tract of land, and it's my understanding that over the years, he's subdivided out tracts. And, so I think that might kind of,
Sold them off, or
Sold everything but
sold,
the-
okay.
the three behind me and the three, or 2.5 on the other street.
See, that's why it's shaped like this. My name's Cheryl Fontenot, I'm his wife Donald, and we bought 17 acres, and the reason we did this is we wanted the piece behind us. We're at 6043 Bayou Serpent, and that's further down. When we got to the end, the people were going through divorce, and they didn't want that piece. And that's why we're stuck with this piece, and that's why we have little frontage. So we said, well, hey, we'll just rent it out.
Well, the
And
way it's
Right,
made, it
right.
comes, you got
It's a T.
a T, like,
Mm-hmm.
come in
So,
and then-
so we didn't have any problem at that time. We put 2 rental lots there, and we've always rented these lots, because I've done all the permits. We've always had 2 rental lots. And so about 3 months ago, the last lot rental trailer moved out. And so I will, okay, no problem, I'll go get a permit. It didn't happen that way. They said in '08, y'all changed the laws, and when that trailer left, we lost our grandfatherness. And nobody notified us, because we had the option to keep that trailer there. And if we would've kept that trailer there, we would not be having this trouble. Because we came up here to buy it, and we decided it wasn't too bad of a shape. Would have known the law changed, we would have kept that trailer there and just redid it and
or
rented it out.
updated or something,
So we've had a battle ever since. And so now they said, well, go ahead and get it rezoned. And we have people here that have already put their trailer on the lot. We've done everything that we've needed to do. We've had rental people out there for 20 years. And we've put dirt out there, they have their trailer on there. And so we're just asking, that we just want to try to get that rezoned, and that's why we're here tonight, to try to just get it rezoned. We're just stuck with a bad situation, buying the 17 this lot and subdividing to all our neighbors to try to get the land that we wanted that was behind us. And we just ended up with a bad situation, and we're just here pleading to try to get this
Okay.
rezoned.
All right, and so it's 2 trailers on there right now?
Right
correct?
now, yes,
Okay,
sir.
all right. Mr. Portia?
You know, it was referenced in the staff's recommendation that, you know, there not being a hardship.
Right.
When y'all were talking with the staff, I mean, there's another family involved. I mean, it's your guys, you know, y'all need to explain to us if there is a hardship or, you know, is there anything that you can tell us to maybe put it in that category, or at least in
Well, I never want to.
some sort of explanation?
Something as a hardship, but yes, I mean, they done paid and moved their new home on there.
And they're friends of ours, and they're living with their mother, and her mom's in a bad situation, and they didn't have nowhere to put their trailer. And it is kind of a hardship situation for them too, and for us too, you
And
know.
it's family, got
Yeah.
their sister is the other trailer, so
Right,
they all be together, but,
you know. But we really trying to do everything we
But
can do.
you had 2 trailers there for 12 years?
20.
20 years.
20 years, okay.
years.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
You have anything else?
And it costs a lot to move a trailer and get it
It-
set up.
it does.
So they've spent several $1,000s already.
Right, and it's,
And I mean, I done spent that septic checked and paid
Yeah,
that and
it's-
went through all that testing and
yeah.
in the dirt hauled in, so.
Okay. Any other question by the board? None? Okay. Thank y'all.
Thanks.
Have a seat.
And just to clarify, it is a variance request, it's not a rezoning.
Okay. All righty. Roll call vote. Ms. Christie, please.
Mr. Porsche,
Yes.
Mr. Navarre,
Yes.
Ms. Galicia,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Little,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Cobb,
Yes.
it's unanimous.
All right, item passes. Thank you. Item number 9, take appropriate action on case EX 04001-16, a request by Daniel E. Perry et al. For a exception to allow an extension of an existing borrow pit, 7.4 acres at 2690 Highway 90 West in Ward 4. I'll entertain a motion to approve with stipulations.
So moved.
Mr. Navarre, I need a second.
Second.
Ms. Porsche, Ms. Wallace.
This property is located west of Sulphur and encompasses 68 acres of agricultural zone land. In 2006, the board granted an exception request to allow excavation of a borrow pit. At this location, the board imposed a 4-year time limit on the excavation. Due to a lack of demand for dirt, the pit was not excavated within that time frame. But with the new demand for dirt, the petitioner would like the board to grant additional time to dig the pit. Upon completion, the pit will be used as a personal use pond. Because the surrounding land uses are residential and agricultural, and minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following stipulations: that the development must be in accordance with Section 26-122-1F4 of the Parish Code of Ordinances, and that Pete Say Road and Shoe Pick Road shall not be utilized for hauling route.
All right. With that, does the applicant have anything to add? Staff's presentation. Board, you have any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 10, take appropriate action on case RZ 03002-16, a request by Ultra Safe Holdings LLC to rezone from R2 mixed residential to C3 central business commercial to allow commercial development, mini warehouses, and outdoor storage at 5607 Big Lake Road in Ward 3. I will now entertain a motion to approve stipulations.
So moved.
Second.
Coach, moved, second by Ms. Navarre. Ms. Wallace.
This property is located in South Lake Charles and encompasses nearly 10 acres of land. The petitioner would like to construct over 100,000 square feet of climate-controlled self-storage, along with outdoor storage for boats and RVs. The construction will be done in 3 phases. Until the Ham Reed Road extension is completed, customer access will be limited to Big Lake Road. The petitioner intends to buffer the development from surrounding residences utilizing a privacy fence. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following stipulations: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the division, provided that the director may authorize adjustments to site plans in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development or structures to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties, that permitting is subject to DOTD approval, that a drainage impact analysis and a traffic impact analysis may be required, and that access from Broussard Road is limited to employees only.
All right, thank you. Applicant has something more to add?
Chairman and members of the board, my name is Tom Gale. I'm here on behalf of the applicant UltraSafe Holdings. My physical address for the record is 713 Kirby Street, Lake Charles. UltraSafe Holdings is a partnership between Michael Cox and Sam Mahfouz. They are here in the audience, and they'll be able to answer any technical questions if there's anything specific you'll need to know about this other than what we've already presented. It's going to be a phased development, and to think of this as a mini warehouse is really a misnomer. This is not going to be your traditional mini storage. This is a whole new product line. It's something entirely different for this market. It is a national architect who has designed several thousand of these projects through various places throughout the country. And it's going to be something that we haven't seen before, and it's going to be something unique to this specific marketplace in this area. The architect has won awards nationally on the design of the plans. It's going to look aesthetically pleasing. Assuming it gets all built out the way that the site plan contemplates, it's going to be completely encompassed and it'll be surrounded, so it'll have minimal impact on the neighbors that are around it. We're all familiar with a road expansion that is contemplated to take place with Ham Reed Road as it may come through with the traffic circle, so that may have some ultimate impact on the ending site plan. But as of right now, it's being phased in. So we have two requests in front of you tonight. The first request is for the zoning, to change the zoning from the residential zoning that it currently exists, which is the R2 zoning, which gives them some flexibility, to move it up to the C3 in accordance with the site plan. And the C3 is what's required in order to do this. We have no problem with the recommendations of the staff, the inward lighting so that you don't have an impact on the neighborhood, restricted access. One of the neat things about it is the way the architect has designed it is that the loading queue, in order to get into the facility, when you get from Big Lake Highway to the gate, it's almost 75 feet. And so even if you're coming in with vehicles or a boat and a trailer, you've got plenty of space to make sure that you clear the roadway and clear the highway and get off the road and get into that interior parcel. Traffic is always a consideration. The traffic impact analysis, of course, is a requirement. As you know, we're going to have to go get a permit from DOTD for an access permit to get onto Big Lake Highway. If they require traffic analysis, by all means, we'll make sure we comply with whatever's necessary. If by the time we get to the phase in the back, that Ham Reed Road is there and there's further modifications that need to be made, then of course we're going to do whatever's necessary according to that. We always hear about drainage. When you have a big site like this, we know about the drainage impact. The drainage impact analysis required. They've got civil engineers lined up ready to go to work on this, and we know you have to have a zero impact on it. We're talking about a lot of hard surface space, and if it ends up that we have to modify it for a retention pond, then we're going to have to do whatever the drainage impact requires us to do, but we know that we can't impact and affect the neighbors with the development. It's a neat product. They're going to have upper end storage. It's climate controlled. They're going to be able to do wine storage and jewelry and guns and almost like the safety deposit boxes that you enjoy in the bank. So it's something different than what you're normally going to see where you're sticking grandma's furniture in the back building. So it's a neat thing. Any questions, anything?
Any questions by the board?
Yes.
Little?
The all your parking spots, the 14 by 48, and it's basically in the center, is this open air facility or is this covered parking?
Open air.
Okay. Another question in regards to the site plan stipulated that Broussard Road would be for employees only. There's a 54-foot driveway coming in off of Broussard Road for employees.
Technically, it's a 39-foot opening that's there, and I think the staff will tell you the fire marshal's not going to approve a plan of this site if we don't have two accesses in ingress and egress. And so that's going to be primarily for emergency vehicles and for employees. It will certainly not be coded for access for anybody, the general customers of it. It is not intended for that to be there. It's going to be there because the fire marshal is going to say, you know, you got to have ingress and egress from two different directions because of hazards.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Gale.
The second part of this, and you bring up a good question, Mr. Little, is that the second request that comes is going to be a variance request, and it has to do with a setback. And somebody had to call it front and somebody had to call it the rear, and so what got called the rear is got 10 foot, but the request on the second part of it is so that it's consistent with all, the entirety of the property, so it doesn't have to go because of the way it is, so, anyway,
Thank you.
thank you.
I got a question for the staff. Definition of a privacy, or of a, is it privacy fence?
We see that as a wooden fence,
Okay.
something that you can't see through.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Thank you.
All right, we have one blue card, Mr. L.W. Thibodeau, or Miss, or Mr. Okay.
Board. My name is Leo Thibodeau. My wife in the audience is Candy. We're building a home on 5673 Big Lake Road, which is just adjacent to this property. It is on west, be the southwest from their entrance is where we're located. I'm definitely in favor of of what they want to put in place. The two questions we have are, it says may request a drainage plan. Definitely, I want to see that does get enacted, because the natural drainage of our property and the lots both next door, the back half of those drain back to that property and then runs to the south, where the new Ham Reed Road will be coming in, is a natural drainage in that area right now. So I don't like how it says may, I'm requesting that it says it will have a drainage plan. And I'm requesting that you stay to the 15-foot holdback instead of the 10-foot holdback, especially where it's behind our house, to do that. I don't know what he's calling, he's trying to define what is back and what is front, but as I described where we are on that southwestern edge that comes down, notches out to do that. So I'm requesting we hold the 15-foot. And is there a code that says there's some form of I'll call it a green belt, some kind of shrub greenery or something that would block those buildings from our house right there
It's a privacy fence,
that
correct?
we're building?
Privacy fence, I can answer that question. Now, the other two questions, Wes, you may want to address.
Yeah, and what size privacy fence are going to put up that, if the buildings are that close, that block some of the view of those buildings right from the rear of our house to do that?
Wes?
No, I was just going to say, on the drainage, typically in a project like this, they're going to have engineering plans that are produced for this particular project, and it will include drainage plans in there. What this is the drainage impact analysis. That's why you say it may require that. That's a different document than just a set of construction, grading, and drainage plans, which they will produce as they do these, so.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Thibodeau. Any other questions about the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, item passes. Case number 11. Take appropriate action on case VA 03005-16, a request by UltraSafe Holdings LLC for a variance to decrease the rear yard setback requirement required 15 feet, requesting 10 feet at 5607 Big Lake Road in Ward 3. I will entertain a motion to approve stipulations.
So move.
Mr. Navarre and Mr. Porsche. Ms. Wallace.
We covered pretty much everything in the previous item, but I did want to point out on the site plan, this is Big Lake Road on this side, and what we're calling the rear line is this line right here and this line right here.
Okay.
And in commercial zoning, typically there's only, there's basically no setback on the rear or on the side, but because this property abuts residential zoning, that's where it brings in the 15-foot setback. Anyway, so.
Okay.
But there will be a privacy fence.
Yes.
All around.
And how tall is that? I think he had asked that a while ago.
I think that the ordinance calls for 6 feet,
Okay.
or they could do landscape, some thick shrubbery, but the ordinance is real specific on how it has to be done.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions by the board? We have no blue cards this time. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, item passes. Item number 12. I would like to announce that case RZ 04003116, request by Gazino Land LLC to rezone from I-2 Heavy Industrial to RRVP Recreational Vehicle Park to allow a recreational vehicle park of 200 spaces on the northeast corner of Highway 27 South and Burton Shipyard Road in Ward 4 has been withdrawn by the applicant. Item 13, take appropriate action on a request by Calcasieu Parish Division of Planning and Development to expand the Lockport industrial area to include heavy industrial zone properties located in sections 4, 5, 8, and 9, Township 10 South, Range 9 West. I'll entertain a motion to approve the expansion.
So moved.
Ms. Cobb, move. Coach Williams, seconded. Ms. Wallace?
Well, I know that y'all aren't going to like this, but because it's sort of an unusual request, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail than I normally do. But I didn't do a PowerPoint. I'm just going to use that as my guide. But in the late 1960s, the police jury created 4 industrial areas as allowed by state statute. The Lockport area was established by the police jury in 1966. It's been expanded 4 times since then at the request of various petrochemical companies that are located within Lockport. From a company perspective, there's a number of benefits when they locate within a formally recognized industrial area. These are considered to be permanent enterprise zones, which automatically qualifies companies to get sales tax rebates on the local level on construction purchases, wood, concrete, anything like that. And then they're also qualified to get some very substantial benefits on the state level in the form of tax credits because of that enterprise zone designation. When companies locate within the industrial area, they're not subject to annexation by existing municipalities. They're not subject to incorporation by a new municipality. And that's important to these companies because it ensures that all the rules that they abide by stay consistent. There have been cases in the past, I know in Ascension Parish and Assumption Parish, where some folks decided to get together and annex areas so they could take in the plants, and then they had an automatic tax base. And I know, Mr. Smith, the wheels are turning, and you're probably thinking we need a plant in Moss Bluff. I don't know if it's going to happen. But that's kind of what happened there, and, you know, all of a sudden you've got a new taxing entity, and the companies are having to restructure all their finances. And it's a little bit of chaos, and they'd rather have the consistency. On top of that, because all the land included in the area has to be zoned industrially by state statute, it ensures that there's not a lot of residential encroachment on these petrochemical industries. Because they do want to be good neighbors, but they also don't want people to move right next to them and then complain about their products. Now, there's a lot of benefits for the companies, but there's also benefits for the citizens when these companies locate there. When they locate within the industrial area, they're not required to connect to a particular service provider. Just in a general area, if a company locates within Carlos's water district, that company's going to have to connect to Carlos Water. Well, once they go into the industrial area, they're allowed to negotiate with service providers if they don't want to provide their own potable water, for example. So what that means for the citizens is that we're not going to overburden what could possibly be an already stressed system. Now, Carlos Water, I'm sure, is fine, but I know that there's other cases, like when Sasol expanded into the Mossville area where that was a real issue. But it does help us ensure that service providers have appropriate capacity. The special service districts that are currently levying millages in that area, we do have a substantial millage that's being levied by the fire district there. There's also a small millage that Carlos Water's levying. Those amounts stay in place. The company won't be subject to any increases once the area is expanded and included within Lockport, but they will still have to pay that existing rate from now until whenever. And then finally, these areas are attractive to industrial companies because it's such a strong economic development tool being in that enterprise zone and all of the other benefits I mentioned. It does increase our overall tax base, and it adds direct and indirect jobs. And just to tell you who's already located within Lockport, we have Axiall, Phillips 66, Sasol Biolab, Lonza Certainty, Juniper, and Mike Hooks. And maybe, Josh, if you don't mind, can you go to, do we have a map up there that maybe shows the whole area? There we go. So that kind of shows you where we are. We're on the very southern end, and then as you go north, you've got Axiall, and then you've got Phillips, and then you've got Sasol. So within the proposed 600-acre expansion area, Axiall plans a joint venture, and I should have asked the correct pronunciation, with Latte Chemical out of South Korea. The companies will construct an ethane cracker and a monoethylene glycol manufacturing plant here. The capital investment for both projects is estimated to be around $3 billion with a B, resulting in 2,000 construction jobs and 215 permanent jobs. The study was authorized by the police jury in November of last year, and it was requested by Axiall that we take a look at expanding the area. And the staff recommends that the proposed expansion area be included within the Lockport industrial area. The expansion will support Axiall's upcoming projects, deter residential encroachment, and encourage additional economic growth.
Now, is this just a report? Do we vote on this, or?
Yes, you'll vote on it and make a recommendation, and then there'll be another public hearing held Thursday night.
All right. So, Board, you have heard the report by Ms. Wallace. Are there any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Being none, we accept your report. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is to advise that the police jury took the following action on January 21st, 2016. I'm sorry?
Got one more.
Oh,
14.
did I miss 14? Sorry. 14. The next item on the agenda is to receive a report from the staff on proposed amendments to Chapter 26 of the Calhoun Parish Code of Ordinance to include references to workforce housing. I entertain a motion to receive the report.
So moved.
Ms. Forshey, Mr. Little have seconded. Ms. Wallace.
All right, really briefly, we're not asking you to take action on this. What we are planning to do is come before you next month and ask you to take action to amend the Code of Ordinances to address workforce housing. And basically what we would do is to just codify our existing process, and then we would come back to you guys at a later date with a set of development standards based upon the customary stipulations that y'all impose. But we would do that later, but just for the time being, we're finding that a lot of developers are searching for any kind of loophole they can find, you know, to try to get around the process and the ordinances. So what we'll come to you with next month is a definition of workforce housing. And the definition is going to say, this is what workforce housing is, a conglomeration of buildings, blah, blah, blah. And this is what it is not. And we're going to say, it's not a hotel, it's not an RV park. You know, so that way we can have a formal separation. And then we'll also formalize the exception process. So we'll ask you to put within the code that it would be permitted as an exception in industrial classifications, workforce housing. It would still need a public hearing. It'd be the same process we have now, just clarified in the code. But the difference is we may ask you to add it as permitted by exception by the board in commercial zoning, in the most intense C3 zoning, but only if it is adjacent to industrial or within a certain footage of industrial. We haven't ironed out that detail, but it may open up some more property near those industrial sites so that we can keep them close to where the actual work is. But we just wanted to let you know that that's going to be coming up next month. And hopefully next month will just be real simple. And then we'll come to you later with those development standards.
Thank you. All right, item number 15. The next item on the agenda is to advise the police jury took the following action on January 21st, 2016 with reference to the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board from the January 19, 2016 meeting. Applicant was Tannis Rentals on Wagon Lane. Police, Planning and Zoning denied it. Police jury upheld it. Applicant MC200 LLC on Patton Street. Planning and Zoning passed it, and police jury upheld it. Item number 16, I would like to advise that the regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning meeting will be held on Tuesday, March 22nd, 2016 in the police jury meeting room. Number 17 is adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. I need a
No.
second. All right. We are adjourned. Thank y'all.